Hey everybody, this is Rich here at Henderson's Lineup, and today I've got another great episode of The Voice of the Customer.
The Voice of the Customer.
Two great customers, Pat and Gail, with their 2016 Jayco. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So they came here as customers, and one of the things we like to do, guys, is we like to have the customer tell the story, because I could tell these guys that, hey, you should buy these parts, but it's a lot better if they hear it from you. And so would you please kind of tell us a little bit about when you bought the coach and then what made you actually come up to Henderson's Lineup?
We were looking for a coach, specifically a Class A, and we found it in Ohio and drove it back here. And it was a challenge.
A little bit of a challenge.
Yeah. I know in my mind, I was wondering, is there a better way? And I started to look into that, and Henderson's came up as the primary place for these parts.
How many miles before you decided to make the decision to come here?
We put on about 4,000.
Then how were those 4,000 miles without the steering and upgrades that you've done now? Was it pretty white-knuckly?
It's pretty
Scary.
It was a little scary. And you know, I always said this, I said this earlier, sometimes the passenger has a better sense of how well the coach is handling, because when you're driving, you're just kind of like focused on driving, and they're like, you didn't feel that? You know? So I had one customer say it was like driving a waterbed, and then you said, what was your example?
right. Flying an airplane.
Flying an airplane.
Trying to keep it online, and it's just moving around.
So you finally landed here, not pun intended, here at Henderson's Lineup. So tell us a little bit about what did you have done specifically? What were the components that you had added?
Track bar added.
That stops that tail wagon,
Yeah.
right? You also had a Safety Plus put on the front. And we just drove the after drive of the RPA.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, the road RPA stands for Road Performance Assessment.
Mm-hmm.
We drive it for about 15 miles, and we just finished driving the after. Did you notice any difference in that steering?
I mean, now it'll just steer right down the road. A lot more solid when you're driving it. So we had the Bilstein shocks ahead of time, and it didn't do a lot of porpoising, but a little tiny bit. With these new Coney shocks, I don't notice that at all.
Now, there was something wrong with your Coney shocks, though, wasn't there? I mean, one of them's red, one of them's gold on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they come in multicolors. So.
Okay, so what you guys don't know is Coney started out with these brand new Evo shocks for the Ford, and they started out red. And then somehow they decided to go back to their tried and true gold. And so you ended up with both of them. But I used an example earlier. If you ever watch hockey, Wayne Gretzky said, I don't care what they look like, because he always wore different color socks. It's the thickness that matters. And so those are the same shocks, even though they're different colors, right? All right, so you had the rear track bar. You had some sway bars put on and some radius rods I saw too.
Yeah, I had radius rods in the front, and in the back they had the sway bar to help with the rock and roll.
Yeah, that side-to-side movement.
Yeah.
I also saw you had some springs put on the rear as well. And so, man, you really got this thing dialed in now. So I'm going to ask the boss.
Yeah.
Did you feel, are you excited about the changes and looking forward to maybe traveling now?
Yeah. And it's going to be such a pleasure to watch him be able to relax and not battle this.
It's a white-knuckle.
White-knuckle experience. So I'm glad you said that, because that's what we always say. That's our goal. I mean, if you're not happy, it doesn't make any sense, and you're the best part of our business. And so I just want to say thank you so much for letting these know. My last question is, some people watch these videos, and you watched a lot of YouTube videos. And the question I always ask at the end is, if someone's watching this right now and they're deciding, I don't know if should I come up there or not, or should I have these components put on, what advice would you give that person?
Well, I would say definitely do it. These are really good people. They'll treat you right. Every step of the way, they're guiding you through. If you're like me and you really love to see what's going on under the coach, they just invite you in and explain everything to you. This was such a comfortable experience. We stayed overnight a couple of nights. Power, water, it was just comfortable.
And I heard you're going to stay an extra night tonight, too.
Oh, we love it so much.
Yeah. We're not even charging it for the extra night either. All right, well, thank you guys so much for their kind words, and I really appreciate it. And if you're watching this and you'll hear what they had to say, I hope that you also come up here and take a look at what we can do for you. So thank you for watching this video. Until we see you in another video, we wish you safer and happier driving.